Welcome to Rally Argentina for what is a classic on the WRC calendar. It's fast and it's certainly furious. But it's also been controversial. The rally started in Buenos Aires in the famous River Plate Stadium as the crowds in the capital came out to see the cars for the first time in over 15 years. But for the crews, there were delays returning to the rally base in Cordoba, which led to Friday's stages being cancelled. This meant the rally didn't start properly until Saturday. But one person who didn't seem to mind was the world champion Sebastian Loeb, who won the first 6 stages of the morning. He continued his dominance in the afternoon with another 2-stage wins and a rally lead of just over 19 seconds. Marcus Grönholm was the only driver to beat Loeb on day 2. He only managed that twice. The Big Finn was clearly struggling to live with the world champion's searing pace, and he didn't like it.
A bit frustrating because we don't know what to do now to catch him.
Someone who was much happier was Subaru's Petter Solberg. He found himself up in 3rd and actually challenging Grönholm. It was more than he'd expected coming into the rally. As ever, the Norwegian was pushing to the limit and a couple of times just beyond it. Sadly for Solberg, the Subaru let him down once again as engine failure ended his rally on stage 17.
No.
Engine.
I can't believe it.
Supervision fail.
Go ahead, supervision, failed.
Stop doing stage engine.
The Norwegian struggled to hide his disappointment. Ford's Mikko Hirvonen has had a steady rally. He wasn't able to match the speed of the front 3, but he was able to keep the rest of the field at a safe distance. He starts 3rd after Solberg's retirement. Danny Sordo in the 2nd Citroën was having another steady rally. He was 5th when hydraulic problems struck, losing him almost 2 minutes and dropping him to 8th. The young Spaniard showed he's as passionate as any driver. Chris Atkinson was another to struggle with his car. He made it as high as 5th, but then started to drop out of contention as he battled with the car setup.
We're wasting our time if it's like that. Really just wasting our time.
But after the troubles of others, he starts the day 6th. But the charge of the day went to Jari-Matti Latvala in the Stobart VK Ford. He set out in 11th and gradually worked his way up the leaderboard and starts today an impressive 4th. Lower down the field, the drivers proved just how tricky this rally can be. American superstar Travis Pastrana misjudging this water splash, and he wasn't the only one. Going into the final day of Rally Argentina, Loeb leads by 19.2 seconds. Grönholm is 2nd with his teammate Hirvonen 3rd. Latvala's 4th, just 12.8 seconds ahead of the improving Henning Solberg. Atkinson is also just 12.8 seconds ahead of the Citroën of Manfred Stoll. After Friday's cancelled stages, the organisers have been forced to add another stage today to ensure they reach the required number of kilometres to make this a full point-scoring event. This means that Mina Clavero will be run twice, along with the famous El Condor stage, and it will all finish with a super special in Cordoba. So the first stage of the morning is the additional run through the 23-kilometre Mina Clavero test, and it's a misty start to the day in places. With the cars running in reverse order this morning, Danny Sordo is the first driver in the top 8 on the stage. Another very different challenge today with these high-altitude rocky roads, some of the most testing in the whole championship. Danny sets about recovering from his disastrous finish to leg 2 when hydraulic problems dropped him down to 8th. Chris Atkinson also suffered a frustrating afternoon yesterday. The Australian was clearly not happy with the handling of his Impreza and ended the day 6th, over half a minute behind Henning Solberg. He looks in defiant mood though this morning. Don't bet against him, mounting a challenge on the Norwegian's position. It's a tough task ahead though. Using Virtual Spectator, this is how big Solberg's head start would look on the road. That 30-second lead equates to around 1 kilometre. Henning won't be thinking his position is safe, but the Stobart VK4 driver seemed much happier with this setup last night, so he'll be starting in a positive frame of mind. The two drivers are approaching the halfway mark of Mina Clavero, and back with Virtual Spectator, look at the difference now. Atkinson has more than halved the gap. This is a really good effort from the Subaru man. So, one final push now for Chris, and he might just do this, continuing the constant uphill climb to the finish of this test. The weather is a lot clearer up here, and the Australian is looking like he's up for the challenge.
8 right long, 70 brake, bump 6 left.
But has he done enough? One more chance to compare the two drivers' overall performance at the same time. Whoever crosses the line first is fifth, and look at this. Atkinson's going to do it. Yes, that's incredible. From 30 seconds down, the Australian has smashed Solberg by 32 seconds in that stage, and he's now 1.8 seconds ahead. For Henning Solberg, it must be a terrible blow to have lost all that time in the very first stage.
I lost so much, I don't know what I do wrong in this stage.
Is it the conditions are really tricky? Are you just getting used to it?
Yeah, I push like maximum I can, but it's not enough. Sorry.
A tremendous battle for fifth then to keep an eye on in this final day. Theo Heaven, meanwhile, begins the leg in a rather lonely third place. The Finn sets off with a gap of more than a minute to both the driver ahead and the driver behind. So barring disaster, he should add yet another podium finish to his terrific recent record. Fellow Finn Jari-Matti Latvala is also set to impress again this weekend. The 22-year-old is once again living up to his mantle of a star of the future. He's on course to equal his best ever finish of fourth. The Stobart Ford man is fifth fastest through Mina Clavero. The third Finn in the top four is two-time world champion Marcus Gronholm. Ford's number one said yesterday he was hoping for fog to make the conditions as tricky as possible, in the hope that Sebastian Loeb would be caught out, and his wish has certainly come true. At altitudes of over 2,000 metres at times today, though, these engine-sapping roads are not going to provide much chance to attack. With 19.2 seconds to make up to catch the leader, he has his work cut out to push for his second win of the year. And Sebastian Loeb, of course, has been here before. Also, today's twisty, more technical stages are better suited to Seb's precise, controlled driving style. And yet again, on this opening stage, he's looking good to get the better of Marcus. Yes, another 8.3 seconds, and Loeb takes another big step towards his fourth win of the year.
Sebastian, you're still fastest out there, but the conditions must be amazingly tricky this morning.
Yeah, it's really tricky. It was a lot of fog in the stage, and we have again no split time. So I didn't know when you are driving in the fog, you feel you lose some time. It's not a perfect drive. So I feel if he's driving more, he can beat me from 10 seconds. So I tried hard from the start to the end. And finally, we've got the best time. So.
On to possibly the most famous stage in Argentina now, El Condor. It's the highest test of the weekend and probably the most recognisable. Well, it would be if you could see it. Manfred Stoll is currently running 7th for the OMV Kronos Citroën team, but with Danny Sordo in fine form this morning, he may struggle to maintain his place. Citroën's number 2 begins the stage over 20 seconds behind the Austrian, but it's an inspired drive over this infamous route at El Condor. Danny destroys the time set by Stoll to move up to 7th, and with it setting his first fastest time of the weekend. While Marcus Gronholm is rapidly running out of stages to catch the rally leader. The Finn first competed here 10 years ago, so he knows these roads very well and continues to push as hard as he dares despite the tricky weather conditions. Oh, but a mistake there from Marcus. Well, he was giving it everything to close the gap on Loeb, but that off surely ends his chance of challenging for victory. He drops another 20 seconds to the leader. So the gap between first and second is now nearly 40 seconds, with just 3 stages remaining. Further back, though, it's all still very close in that battle for 5th. Atkinson still only 3 seconds ahead of Henning Solberg, while Sordo's moved up to 7th. Loeb has taken a big step towards another record, but there's still a battle to be sealed between Atkinson, Solberg and Sordo. Welcome back to the final day of Rally Argentina, where Sebastian Loeb is now just 3 stages away from claiming his 4th win of the season. He holds a lead of 38.1 seconds going into the second run through Mina Clavero. The man on the move, though, this morning is Loeb's Citroën teammate Dani Sordo. The Spaniard has just managed to overhaul Manfred Stoll on the previous test to claim 7th, and after losing a lot of time with mechanical problems yesterday afternoon, he still looks intent on claiming back as many of the positions he lost as possible. A broken clutch at the end of the stage, though, will cause some concerns. He's having a real problem getting the car into gear. Mark Marty's out trying to help bump start the C4. They do get moving, but this is obviously a very unwanted distraction. Manfred Stoll begins stage 20, just 2.3 seconds behind Sordo. And despite the Spaniard's clutch problem, he was still very quick. Manfred, in the older Citroën Zara, can do little to claw back any time on this tricky uphill climb. In fact, the Austrian loses another half a minute to Dani. Chris Atkinson, meanwhile, has had a terrific start to the day, negotiating his way through these tricky stages with impressive speed. He's moved up to 5th place already today, but is only 3 seconds ahead of Henning Solberg, so the Subaru driver can't rest easy just yet.
120.
Oh, but that could be all his hard work undone right here. He carried a bit too much speed into that corner, and now, with the road so narrow, he's losing a lot of time getting the car back in the right direction.
40 brake caution. 7.
So a chance then for Henning to claim back 5th place from the Subaru driver. Atkinson must have lost the best part of half a minute with that mistake. And as Solberg bears down on the finish line, this is looking good for the Norwegian. Yes, he's back in 5th. Henning now 7.1 seconds in front. With Solberg and Atkinson distracted by their ongoing battle, Jari-Matti Latvala has quietly but consistently set about securing his 4th place. He's not setting the world alight with his times, but is doing just enough to keep the chasing pair at arm's length. While at the front, there is little Marcus Gronholm can do now about catching the rally leader. That error in the previous stage has put paid to any lingering hopes he might have had of winning. Marcus must now ensure he secures 2nd place to keep in touch with Loeb in the Drivers' Championship. The Frenchman is currently just 1 point ahead, but it's been another dominant display from Loeb and co-driver Daniel Elena. The C4 has passed its latest gravel test over the changeable terrain and water splashes of Argentina with flying colours. And just to prove a point, Loeb once again sets the fastest time on Mina Clavero. Not much to report at the front then after stage 20, other than Loeb extending his lead slightly. Atkinson was the big loser though, slipping back to 6th and now 7.1 seconds behind Henning Solberg. He will also be wary of the rising Sordo, who's 4.8 seconds behind him and on a charge. On to the final run through El Condor, the last proper mountain stage before a finale back at the Estadio Cordoba. And Dani Sordo has definitely been the man to watch this morning. He seems to have put that distracting clutch problem behind him, and on the stage that he won earlier, he's again looking very, very quick. Sordo has already moved into 7th place this morning, and now following Atkinson's disastrous run through stage 20, the Australians just 4.8 seconds ahead of the Citroen driver as they make their way down the long descent from El Condor. Chris has been out of sorts all weekend. He's been intermittently quick, but has struggled with the handling and setup of the Impreza, and things clearly aren't improving. Look at that time. He's already way behind Sordo and will lose another position here. Over half a minute slower than the Spaniard. He's now a long way adrift with just the super special to come. Not a good day for the Australian. Sordo's incredible time may even put some pressure on Henning Solberg's 5th place. The Norwegian started this final run through El Condor just under 12 seconds ahead of the Citroen driver. He does just about enough to hang on, but his advantage is down to 5.3 seconds, which could make things interesting back in Cordoba. It's looking like another good weekend for the Stobart VK4 team, with Solberg's teammate Jari-Matti Latvala 1 place ahead in 4th. As it stands, they will move ahead of Subaru in the Manufacturers' Championship. There are actually 4 Fords currently in the top 5 positions. Mikko Hirvonen is still looking comfortable in 3rd. The Finn's not been able to find the same speed as the leading pair again, but another podium will just about keep him in touch in the Drivers' Championship. Which is also now the main concern of Marcus Gronholm. The 2-time world champion has been a frustrated man for much of the weekend, aggravated by his continuing inability to match the pace of Sebastian Loeb. Gronholm once again is 2nd fastest on stage 21. So what more can we say about this man, Sebastian Loeb? He's on course for his 3rd consecutive Rally Argentina victory, his 4th win of the season and the 32nd of his career. He's understandably easing off on this final long stage of the rally with a lead of over half a minute. But El Condor is one of the classic stages of the WRC, and who better to sit alongside than the 3-time world champion? In cruise control, Sebastian's 5th fastest on stage 21. The Frenchman takes an advantage of 35.4 seconds into the final super special stage in Cordoba. Danny Sordo won stage 21 to put some real pressure on Henning Solberg. Before we return to Cordoba though, there's one more trip to the service park at Carlos Paz.
Today it was okay, but yesterday it was a big fight with Marcus. We really had to push hard and to take some risk to try to beat him. And each stage it was only 1-2 seconds, so it was really a close fight. And but okay, we finally get the lead, and we could increase our lead every stage, so it was okay.
What are you feeling about the championship overall at the moment?
It's not too bad. We have few points behind. We could be equal without the penalty in Portugal, but it's very difficult to beat Sebastian for a moment.
Chris, you got some encouraging times on the first 2 runs through that stages this morning, but what happened on the last 2?
I actually thought the first 2 should have been much faster as well. Didn't have a good feeling at all, and then the last 2 we just struggled massively.
So 1 stage to go. Loeb is just 2 kilometers away from becoming the 2nd man ever to win Rally Argentina 3 consecutive times. Join us again after the break. Welcome back to the finale of Rally Argentina. Luis Perez Companc had to restart this morning after retiring on the first stage on Saturday. The local hero has at least been able to complete all the stages on the final leg, despite this spin earlier this morning. It's been a character-building 2 days for young Brit Matthew Wilson. After retiring from the first proper stage on Saturday with electrical problems, there's been more frustration for the Stobart Ford driver with yet more electrical gremlins. So as the crews head to the stadium in Cordoba, this is how the leaderboard looks. Less than 5.5 seconds separating Danny Sordo and Henning Solberg. Danny seems to have found real form over these last stages and has given himself a chance to take 5th place, but he only has 2.4 kilometres. The Spaniard's usually good on super specials though, but even so, he needs Henning to slip up. Oh, but it's Danny who's made the mistake there. A costly and rather embarrassing slide into the sandbags, and his hopes dashed. The Citroën man may have to be satisfied with 6th place after all. So it's Henning's turn to take on the Super Special, and the Norwegian will have to make a big mistake to lose his position now. That late slip-up by Sordo looks to have gifted 5th place to Solberg. That's the time he needs to beat, and I think he's going to do it.
One more.
Yes, Henning, who started slowly, finishes 5th in Argentina. In 3rd and heading for his 4th podium in 6 rallies is Mikko Hirvonen. It's been a solid and steady display. No problems, but no real moments of flair for the talented Finn, who'll be a little disappointed not to have been competing at the sharp end. Once again, it's Marcus Gronholm and Sebastian Loeb head-to-head, here in the Super Special as they are in the championship. Though this victory means he'll pull another 2 points away from the Finn. Rally fans from across South America and farther afield have come here to Cordoba to watch the 3-time world champion in action. This is where rally becomes a spectator's spectacular. How Marcus would have loved his 2nd victory here in Argentina. Instead, he and Timo Rautiainen will have to focus on Sardinia and Greece. If they can take wins in the 2 rounds that complete this first half of the season, the championship will still be wide open. But for now, it's Loeb and Daniel Elena who once again head the standings. Some say the Frenchman seems to have all the luck, but what he really has is consummate skill, masses of professionalism, and a great team, including, of course, the man sitting next to him. The Citroën pair win the stage and, of course, the rally. These two just keep racking up the records. So this is how it ended. Seb's margin of victory, 36.7 seconds from Marcus. The rest of the field a long way back. It's a 13th career podium for Mikko Hirvonen. 5 drivers' points for Jari-Matti Latvala and 4 for Henning Solberg after 2 rallies where he failed to score.
We are really happy from that. Since Mexico, we know that the car is fast, but now it's 3rd rally on gravel that we win, 3rd consecutive. So it's looking really good for the championship. For sure, it was a big battle with Marcus. It was not easy to be in this position. It was a big fight, and we increased our lead second by second. So for us, we really had to push on the limit all the time.
The Drivers' Championship shows Sebastian Loeb is now 3 points ahead of Marcus Gronholm. Hirvonen is still 3rd, and Sordo stays in 4th place on 22 points. In the manufacturer's standings, Ford's leaders increased by a single point to 9 over Citroën, and the big mover is Stobart VK Ford, who've overhauled Subaru to take 3rd.
It's a very good performance for Sebastian and Daniel, and also for the C4. And it's also a good performance from Danny this morning, because he won 2 places this morning at the classification, and it's very important for him and for us for the World Championship manufacturer.
The WRC moves from the heart of South America to the Mediterranean next for Rally Sardinia in Italy in less than 2 weeks' time. There's a preview of the event on WRC.com. But for now, Citroën are celebrating with their man top of the podium and top of the championship table. It might have been a shorter version of Rally Argentina than we expected, but it was certainly filled with drama. For now, though, from South America, it's goodbye.